Oh, that sounds so good. It really does, guys. And girls, if you're listening to this, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks of drinking mostly just one coffee. Since I have the ability to roast my own coffee and give myself random challenges so I can share it with you, give you my insight on things of coffee and how we actually go about drinking coffee. It was a big eye opener. And now that I think about it, 340 grams of coffee for one person is a lot of coffee. 12 ounces. And I do understand why some roasters will give you a smaller bag of coffee, but also to make as much money as they can, too. But something about trying to figure out what to do with 340 grams of coffee. This time, I went ahead and went on an experiment. I brewed damn near 30 cups of coffee at a 1:17 ratio, which was kind of brutal. That's probably a story for another day. And it was a medium roast. It's a Peruvian that I've had for some time now. And I actually finished it. I'm out of it. So if you want any of it, it doesn't exist anymore. At least not for me. And as I was drinking these coffees back to back, sometimes, I was doing this in a way to where I was trying to push the coffee as much as I could with the constraints that I gave it. And I think it's very critical that we do give ourselves constraints when it comes to coffee, especially coffees that we're used to drinking, even coffees that we're not used to drinking. But I guess what I'm really saying here is that 340 grams of coffee, even for two people, is a lot of coffee. For me, if I really was looking at it the way that I normally drink coffee, which is 1, possibly 2 cups a day, no matter what the ratio is, the ratio really doesn't matter as much in this grand scheme of things. That would put me at 7, let's just say 10, and then another 10. So in 2 weeks, if I was to drink this normally, I still wouldn't be done with this bag of coffee. I will still have a lot of it left. I guess what I'm saying here is that 340 grams of coffee is a lot. I think most people can get done with coffee in about 2 weeks, depending on their consumption level, addiction level, their routine level. No judgment here. I'm just kind of one of the weird ones that actually just have probably 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day, and then I can go on with my day. But throughout this challenge, throughout this journey with this particular coffee, it kind of shocked me how quickly and bored I got of it. Initially, it was great. It was something that I was looking forward to. It was something that I was trying to crack, trying to figure out, right? Especially with the challenge that I gave myself in order to drink this coffee, pushing myself past my comfort zone of the way that I normally drink coffee in general, right? Because we have our routines, we have our things in general, right? We know how we would like our coffees to taste and how we can manipulate that through extraction, through recipes, through all that stuff that we already know, right? But a third of the way there, I was done. Even with the Mugen brewer, even by me only brewing the coffee at 200 degrees Fahrenheit and allowing myself to have as many types of recipes with the Mugen Dripper, either 1 pour, 2 pours, 3, sometimes I did 4 or 5. The coffees had a different variations of what they tasted like. But at the end of the day, at this roast level and at the grind size that I used, it was what it was. And that's perfectly fine. But how long do we really need to keep our coffees? I guess that's what I'm saying. Probably you have a better understanding of that, because to me, my judgment and the way that I look at things is kind of skewed. I'm in a unique situation to where I don't tend to stay with coffees as much or as long as the normal person. If you spend $20, $30 for a bag of coffee, you're probably trying to enjoy it as much as possible. But then again, there's many times where I see people online talk about they just got a new haul of coffee and they have about 4 to 5 of them. And they probably constantly switch all the time. You're probably the same boat where you switch coffees all the time. And I think that kind of brings me back to a coffee slut. You may think about it in any way, shape, or form that you want to, but I think it's just more so about being bored with your coffee. You want to keep the excitement as high as possible. You want to see what this particular beverage does for a couple of brews, and then you switch it up, and you kind of keep going from there. You'll do like a little comparison, taste comparison with all the coffees that you do have. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things to where, what do you do with 340 grams of coffee? Probably you do 12, 15 grams, whatever, try to get rid of it a little bit more. Probably you brew it with friends and family, people in your house or whatnot. Probably you take it to work, share it amongst friends and all that. Probably you don't do that, but but I guess what I'm saying here is that what other things can we do with a bag of coffee? Because to me, even when I was extreme with this whole challenge, I was able to brew this coffee 34 times. Let's just say 30 times at about 10 grams a pop. Think about that. For one bag of coffee, I was able to drink it at the consistency that I was going at. That's a lot of coffee. And again, I want to speak for myself, but what I'm seeing from a lot of things that I'm seeing online, talking to friends and all that good stuff, you need variety. You need different types of coffees. You get bored, so you always have to change it up, right? Those are some of the things that I think about a lot of times when I think about coffee, because coffee, as much as I like to sell my 2-pound bags of coffee, I think those type of people are a little different because it's mostly like a fix. It's something that they're trying to enjoy. And as they enjoy it, they know that that bag is going to last them for a very long time. So think about that. Or have you thought about that? And I think one of the solutions that we can have when it comes to coffee drinking is preserving it. So freezing it some way, somehow, labeling it, just not worrying about it as much. Probably give it out to friends, giving them that experience of drinking that cup of coffee. That's some of the ways that we can actually preserve the coffees. And, I hate to say this, but probably not buy as much coffee. Probably buy an even smaller bag, which if you think about it, may seem kind of crazy. But I look at it in a way to where it's a pair of jeans, right? You get some jeans, because I just recently bought some new pants. And you do a cost analysis, right? And it's like, okay, this is $100 for this particular jean. Strong, it's rugged. It's going to last me a while. And then you look at another one that's probably like $30. You're like, okay, we have a good time. I gotta stop using those references, but it's gonna last, but probably not as long as the one that's gonna last a long time. Right. But I guess what I'm getting at here is that once you pay for that particular product, no matter how much you pay for it, and then you start to use it, the per usage goes down. So then at the end of the day, you're not really so much worried about how much that thing was, unless it's a really high ticket item like a $3,000 coffee grinder, right? But to an extent, that can be the same thing. Or $800, $900 for a commercially graded home use coffee grinder. You're justifying it, and then you're wondering if it makes sense for you to actually get and do and play with, right? But then as you keep using it and get better with that particular product or a gene, you're not worried about the cost. You're not worried about, even the ruggedness of how long it's going to last. The reason why is because you're using it. And as you keep using it, the per usage of it keeps going down. So as I keep drinking this coffee, per cup of coffee, the utilization of it goes down. So the cost essentially goes down. So I guess really what I'm saying here is that when we think about coffee and when we buy coffee and when we drink and try to enjoy coffee, after we get it, we're not so much worried about how much it actually costed us. It's an experience that we're willing to take because we know that's part of the game plan of when we're drinking our cup of coffee. So what can you do about that? Freeze it, give it away, buy smaller bags. I don't know. those are some of the options that we do have. But do realize if you are drinking majority of your high-end specialty coffee by yourself and you're new to the game, do realize that after a while, you're going to get so conditioned, so like ready. So you're going to be so experienced to the point to where after 5 or 10 brews of that coffee, you're good to go. You know, you're done with it. And as you're done with it, you have to figure out what else you want to do with it. Because even if it's a 12-ounce bag, 340 grams of coffee, it's not going to take you that much longer to actually experience it for what it is. Yeah, you can change it up with different brewers and all that stuff, but you know, the coffee tastes what it tastes like. So once you get your fix, I think it's time to move on to something else. That's just me personally. Do you go through that? Are you constantly changing out your coffees? How often do you actually go back to that exact same coffee? Because, you know, that could be a story for another day. But this is just me talking about my experience with this coffee, this whole bag, this 2.5 week saga challenge of trying to finish this whole bag, majority of it by myself. So this is OK at Everyday Beans signing off. But how do you enjoy your coffee? Do you freeze it? Do you give it out? Do you just finish it up and then just move on? So talk to you later. Bye.